saw another good video here. How Alabama's only billionaire, Yella Fella, Jimmy Rane, saved his hometown. See, I like to kind of see some of these stories because we were very inclined to just blame billionaires and elite for everything, which I do find very. There's some truths to a lot of that. And like I said, I haven't even clicked, and I haven't even pressed play on the video, so I don't really know what this thing's about, and I'm interested to see if a billionaire did something good. Let's see what he did. Now, give credit where credit's due. That's what I try to do.
Jimmy Rane is the founder and CEO of Great Southern Wood Preserving, based in Abbeville, Alabama. Great Southern is one of the country's largest treaters of lumber. So basically, they take raw lumber from other companies' sawmills primarily and apply chemical preservatives to ensure that it lasts a lifetime. And based on Great Southern's $2 billion of 2022 sales, we estimate that the company's worth about $1 billion. Jimmy actually took over the company when the father of his first wife tragically died in a car accident in 1970.
He was a farmer, and like most farmers, he was land rich, but
Yeah.
cash poor.
That is actually very true. I think a very common misconception with some farmers is that people see the land and people see like the equipment. They go, "Oh my God, why are these farmers are rich? Like just tax them more, tax whatever." But some with John Deere, and we'll go through. If there's a good video that if I find, we'll go through it. But John Deere specifically is a really fucked up company in a lot of ways because they do this like weird licensing thing with their products, and then they have this manipulation with what they do. They you have a computer, just like anything nowadays with cars. You need like pretty much a computer to input and see what's wrong with it. But in a lot of these cases, these like tractors and stuff cannot be repaired without that. Like they just pretty much like force you to have to go out and get one of their technicians to come over, plug their stupid computer in to tell you what's wrong, which back in the day, these farmers used to be able to just, oh, that's wrong, go in there, fix it, twitch it, switch it out. But now it's totally different. And yeah, like a lot of these farmers, because of how inheritance works and stuff, like, yeah, they may have a lot of property, but their margins are already pretty tight. And we all know how some of these markets can go with soybeans and corn and crops and etc. Like, it can be very hit or miss. Like we just saw China out of nowhere said we're not going to buy any single soybean in America, and Trump had to go down there because mind you, it's Trump's tariffs kind of forced China's hand a little bit, but there's pros and cons to it. That's not really we're not really talking about tariffs here specifically. We're just saying that example that China can just go, oh yeah, we're not going to buy soybeans from Americans, and then out of nowhere, farmers don't have anybody to sell to, and then they have to hopefully hold on to the crop long enough before it spoils, and they can find someone to buy it. But yeah, he's very, very right here that a lot of farmers are land rich, but they may not necessarily be like, liquid rich, have a bunch of cash.
So the CPA that was advising the family said, sell the tractors, sell the plows, sell all the personal property, but don't sell any land. And this little treating plant sat on 6.5 acres of land next to the farm. And so they did that. They sold everything except this one little treating plant. And they had one offer from Mr. Ralph Reynolds here in Abbeville. He was a pulpwood dealer. He offered them $14,000 for the little treating plant and the 6.5 acres that it sat on. The brother wanted to take it. My wife was trying to do what the CPA told her. So they kind of got in a disagreement, and I was in law school trying to mediate my first case.
Yeah,
so
he's fucking having to deal with this.
That I would lease the land and sell the equipment. So I made an offer to them. Well, I'll buy the equipment for $10,000 and I'll lease the land, and everything will go away, and I'll stay in law school and I'll finish. So my father said, Jimmy, that's a very good idea, but what happens if you can't sell it? You're going to sign a note for $10,000, but if you can't, oh, Dad, I can sell it. I'm sure I can sell it.
He has confidence in
But
himself.
what if you can't? Anyway, he was right. I couldn't sell it.
Oh.
So now I've got a treating plant. So I finished.
I mean, like, success stories like this all the time happen because of trial and error. You either take a risk on something and it pays off and you reap the rewards from it for the future, or you constantly live in fear that, if you ever take that next step, what could happen. And that's what ultimately separates a lot of the billionaires from the average Joes. risk takers, people who are entrepreneurs, people who are willing to take that extra step into an unknown. And that's where it's like there's plenty of billionaires out there who've worked their ass off to get to where they are today. Some of it's via inheritance, but some of it's not.
Law school and came back here and opened a one-room law office on the courthouse square. 2 black telephones. This would ring, I'd say Jimmy Rane Law Office. This would ring, I'd say Great Southern Wood Preserving. So that's how it started, me and one other fellow, Austin Curry.
Back then, the company was doing less than $100,000 of sales, so a fraction of, what it does today.
It had no cash, no money, and money is the lifeblood of any business. And I struggled for a long, long time trying to run the business. I would get up 4:30 in the morning and go out and meet Lawson, and we would get everything ready and start treating, come back and take a shower, practice law till 4:30. Then I'd go back and stay with him.
Business 1 and then business 2 later.
Things really started to take off in the mid-'80s when Jimmy attended a Harvard Business School program for the owners and managers of family-owned private companies. And he was inspired by a case that he studied there about how Frank Perdue used marketing effectively to turn commodity chicken into a household name.
Every time I would walk into a building supply store and try to talk to them about my product, the only question they asked, what's your price?
Yep, how much?
And I knew we had the best product. I knew we had the highest quality. I knew the extent that we were going to make a high quality product and to give service, but it didn't matter. So I needed
price
some
matters
way
most
to get the attention of that dealer. I wanted to find some emotional thread that would weave through my area, and that was college football.
Jimmy had this insight based on his love of college football and the
Go with
love of
Alabama?
college football across the South.
Auburn?
That if he were to bring in the big college football coaches, not only at his alma mater, Auburn, but at rival Alabama and others.
He's an
throughout the
Auburn
South,
boy.
If he were to bring them in as spokespeople, that would, really help grow his brand, and that certainly turned out to be the case.
I had known Pat for a long time. We became friends, but when he got the job at Auburn in 81, and I went to Harvard in 84, 85, and 86. And the idea came to me when I was at Harvard to try and use marketing to differentiate my product. So I came back and I talked to Pat about it first. And he said, well, we'll try it, see how it works.
Like this fence, built with osmosis pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. The lumber with a 40-year guarantee. Speaking of extra defense, ring in, let me keep this.
So after years of...
Okay, see, that's pretty fucking creative. Dude, I don't even think just side note, I don't even think they make commercials like that anymore. Now it's just like a basic-ass commercial. They have it naturally on a PowerPoint, or now they have AI just fucking do it. And there's just no... That's creative.
Doing commercials with the coaches, he'd sort of actually created this own character and brand for himself.
Well, if you have a little personality, he can sell, and he had a little personality there. So you put him in front of a camera, of course he'll sell.
With his marketing team, what the next phase of the company's advertising would look like, he ended up drawing on his love for old westerns and created this character called the Yella Fella, who is a cowboy played by Jimmy.
When we first started, we were using actors, and nothing was catching on. Marty Marshall was my marketing professor.
You need a little charm.
Harvard. And so I talked to Marty, and he said, I think the problem you're having is that people are not connecting. It's just another commercial.
There's no human behind the brand, right? He said it just another commercial. It's every average day thing. People are going to go, oh yeah, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to give it the time of day. Take a little initiative, throw a little personality behind it. You'll be surprised at what can happen.
Plans to be on camera, but they walked in one day and had this storyboard for this cartoon cowboy.
And he was like, "Oh, I can do that."
I said, "You really want me to do that?" And it was really, I thought, hokey, cartoonish, and it sort of evolved into Yella Fella.
Who are you, Mister?
Fella. Yella Fella.
I thought you were dead.
Not hardly.
I wanted to replicate the Roy Rogers, Gene Autry
John Wayne. Yeah, I was gonna say he has a
figures of my
John
youth.
John Wayne
Being in
look.
your 60s and out playing cowboys and Indians was a lot of fun. I mean, we were shooting these commercials in the location that John Ford and John Wayne used. It was like we were
That's
kids
super
again,
cool.
riding horses and shooting guns and
John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, they're all. If you guys haven't watched any of those old school westerns, please go watch those. I mean, John Wayne, John Chisholm, John Chisholm. Great movie. Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Hang 'em High. I'm trying to remember if. He also did actually later. This isn't a totally separate like genre, but it's called The Mule. And Clint Eastwood starred in that. He was like in his 80s or something like that. He did that. Did it like before COVID. Really good movie. Side note, but old school westerns are lit. They have such a vibe. They have such an Americana attached to it, and you got to think about it with the American western and why it was a thing. Think about it. Who were the people watching in the 40s, 50s, and 60s? A lot of those people lived in the West. A portion of those audience were legit cowboys and stuff, and who lived that type of lifestyle. So it makes sense in why in the 40s, 50s, and 60s there was a huge Western Americana. Like people loved westerns, people have an attachment towards that, and they viewed it a lot as it's American history. Like the cowboy is very unique to America. Yeah, there's in South America, I know they have their version of cowboys and stuff like that, but when people think of a cowboy, they generally think of an American. So yeah, it makes perfect sense on why, if you look at it from that lens, that the viewers, a lot of them, like when they showed who's the really famous one, there was a really famous gunslinger. I'm brain farting on his name, but like when you show that guy on screen, like when you're hearing him do his thing, you're like, oh yeah, like I remember stories about him. I remember when he was doing his thing. Like that's because the relative of the audience was there. A lot of them grew up watching that. But yeah, definitely recommend American westerns and old Hollywood television. A lot of Clark Gable, he doesn't. I don't know if he does any westerns. He's more of just like a goat in like the world of old school Hollywood. But yeah, if you guys haven't, there's a lot of great old movies and content.
you just don't think about the other side effects that, okay, now when people see this, they're going to recognize you. So, but that was kind of different for me.
I said I came here to rebuild the town with Yellowwood. Best there is for building outdoors.
Commercials aren't creative like that anymore.
Abbeville, Alabama, where Jimmy lives today.
They're just all
where
boring.
he
They're all the
started
same.
the company and has kept it ever since. It's probably not exactly where you would expect to find the richest guy in Alabama. It's a small town of 2,000 people, about a 3-hour drive from Atlanta. Jimmy grew up there. His family had been there long before he was born, and he's chosen to keep his company there.
I respect. Keep his local town
I
alive.
think a big part of the attachment that he feels is the critical role that his own dad, who everyone in Abbeville knows as Mr. Tony, played in the town's development in the 1950s.
My dad was a real entrepreneur. He came back here after World War II. He wanted to open a nice restaurant, and he did. It was called the Village Inn. Well, Mr. Homer Carter was president of Pepper Manufacturing in Opelika. And so he used to come through Abbeville on his way to his beach house at Panama City. And he loved to stop at the restaurant and eat Dad's spaghetti. So Mr. Homer came in one day and he started asking Dad, he said, Tony, he said, what kind of town do y'all have here? What kind of water supply? What kind of mayor? I've got a plant that I want to build and open as a textile plant, and I'm trying to find a location to put it. So they started talking and giving him all this information. He said, well, can you get the president of the Chamber of Commerce? And he said, we don't have a chamber. He said, oh, well, I'm sorry. We can't come any place they don't have a chamber. And Dad said, oh, we'll get you one. So they organized one, and he became the first president. And Mr. Carter's decision was between Abbeville and Cuthbert, Georgia. And I always say that Dad's spaghetti is the one that won it. So he chose Abbeville, and they came to town with 25 employees, and they started sewing uptown on the square.
I think something needs to get acknowledged here too a little bit is that this was the American dream. Like guys coming home from World War II, starting businesses, getting involved in their local government, things that they can do to make their local things better. I I talked one time in another video. If you guys haven't gone see it, recommend it. It's oh wait, no, I don't. I think I actually didn't. I'll have to maybe actually re-upload the video. I recorded the video and I didn't have my mic on, so that's why if you guys ever notice, I'm like constantly like looking down to make sure that like my mic is on because I recorded such a good video. Like I had so much passion behind it, and I do like to be fair and give billionaires their nod when they do good things and when there is good people, because there's good people out there for everything. And it's very easy with all the smoke and bluff to get like they hate billionaires and they hate all rich people, but you have to remember like some people started from nothing. And that's where I think the message gets lost for rich people and or older generations, because they all used to do it. Like they're like, oh, why don't you just start a company? Why don't you just build it? Why don't you just do X? Why don't you just do Z? It's because you were able to do it. Now it's harder. There's so much red taping with rules, the way you got to set up your companies, and then you have to get enough money to even get off the ground. Buying a location can be expensive, then renting. Like there's so many things now in your way that prohibit a little bit of just like competing. Because once all these corporations got big enough, they wanted to, put the rules in place and laws in place so no one else can beat them. They don't want competition. Yeah, we're a capitalistic society, but they also don't want competition when they don't want it. When if there's a necessary to get rid of it, they would. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that a guy like, this is able to kind of right place, right time if you really think about it.
And they grew that plant from 25 to 1,400. To live here and grow up here was
I love like they
idyllic.
kept their
I mean,
Americana
was,
look to it.
Everything that you've ever seen in old movies, that was what it was like. And then NAFTA came along and destroyed it. At that time, that building sat on 53 acres and 550,000 square feet under roof. Huge plant. I mean, it was terrible. And from then through the 90s, if you rode through Abbeville in 1996,
Was it bad?
you'd have locked your door and kept going. There was burned out buildings and boarded up buildings. It was just a devastating
A lot of small
community.
towns in America go through
So
that.
in the last few years,
Businesses
that plant
leave,
was still sitting
money's
empty.
not there,
And years ago,
town turns to crap.
avoid it being sold to a salvager, Jimmy bought the plant and paid years worth of taxes and interest and the like before he could figure out what to do with it. And then in 2018, Hurricane Michael happened, and demand for wood basically went through the roof, and the company went to its supply.
Costs went crazy. That's a lot of situations like that. Like it should be like in my opinion, in a perfect world, like we should be able to fix costs. Like there should be like a common ground on like how much things are cost to make it cheaper for everyone. But unfortunately, supply and demand, and it's just not how things go.
The sawmills, and said we need X amount of wood, and they couldn't meet that demand. So in order to cushion the company against future situations like that, Jimmy actually opened
Became his
one
own
of
supplier.
His company's first sawmills at the old Pepperell plant in
Smart.
Abbeville
Control your
in
own supply
2019.
line.
I think
It's
that
really
was
how
a
you do
moment
it.
of
It's how you
pride
fix
for
it. It's how you
him.
build any business right.
It went from being idle for years to now we got about 110 people out there making an average of $22 an hour. So that's been sort of a great inspiration to me that we were able to bring that back and bring that kind of prosperity back. And it's made a big difference in the town.
That's awesome.
You look at our sales tax revenue and just the whole economy around Abbeville has really been improved because of that facility.
Thanks to the success Jimmy's had, he's been able to really give back to that community, and he spent millions of his own dollars to revitalize the town to look like it did when he was a kid.
I wanted to build Huggin' Molly's because it brought back a time for me that was very special when I was a kid. I would go uptown on the square to Central Drug Store, and you'd go in there after school and you'd get a fountain drink. So we tried to replicate Central Drug Store with Huggin' Molly, with the soda fountain and the stools and the carbonated water.
And like this is all what like when you had like serfdom and stuff back in the day. If I had to relate it to history, yes, it was bad, like because like the people were poor. But what did the manors or what did the lords typically do? Is that they threw a little bit of the money into the town because they'd have their property on their house where they were, and then over to the side they would have the town where all the peasants and everyone else lives. Well, obviously you'd have people go work there, but they would do is they would put their like money into like building churches, building bakeries, and building certain things like that because they knew the people couldn't do it. But if the manor lords and all these lords start investing into the local towns, it kind of keep people off, keep people off their backs and stuff. But like for a while, there's a lot of rich people now that don't do that. They want to just maximize every dollar they get because half of them think they're going to take all their wealth to heaven, which look, we all know that's not true. Guys like this are really good people in a way because he sees that I want people to experience what I experience. This is what America wants to experience Americana. We want to experience what our country was like beforehand. And a lot of people believe that we almost lost our ways in a lot of aspects. So a guy like this coming into his town, doing everything he can to invest in a business. Like not every small town is going to fortunately have someone in his wealth and his situation that's willing to invest the way he is. Not a lot of small towns that benefit from that. It's really the night and day difference when you have a rich person do good things like this. And how can you not just simply applaud, right? Like this is what I want to see rich people do. Invest in your local town if you can.
Replicated.
I understand not all do, and there's plenty of reasons why they don't.
And rather than build one giant big office building, we would put different offices in some of the buildings. So it would bring the building back to life.
Yeah, you want to have
the town back.
Smart. You didn't want one business to go in there and buy up the whole lot and then maybe make a bunch of money off of it. You want to have a downtown. You want to have things to go do. You want to have things to go see. Like, man, I wish more local areas and more towns had this mindset. And it's like, you want things for people to go do, so they want to go spend money.
Live. And we tried to go back and restore them as I remember them in the 50s.
So he was just really trying to bring back all of his local businesses, and
Jimmy started this
assuming he owns them.
The Jimmy Rane Foundation, which
makes more money off of it.
Education focused and funds partial scholarships for college students. And the way that the foundation funds itself is primarily through a charity golf tournament that it runs every year.
One of our employees, she had
golf is a huge business game. I remember Bill Self used to host his golf event. He had to kind of get invited to go. This is when I used to work for athletics a long time ago, and really it's not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago. But it's like Bill Self used to easily his golf tourney used to be a huge fundraising event. We used to have to go help set up put tables up and chairs and stuff. It was cool though, seeing it, but to participate in it was next level. They used to have a few of us go over there and play golf. I was never a great golfer, so I never ended up doing it, but other people did, and it seemed like it was a lot of fun. Golf is a really big business game, and if you're trying to get in business, I would recommend you learning how to play golf. Golf is a great avenue to break the barrier. It really is.
I knew both.
You can go to I went to Goodwill and picked up a bunch of clubs and stuff. And I have a ping bag that I bought from Goodwill. So you don't really need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into a fucking golf set. You can just spend maybe $100, $200. And I had to fix some of my edges and stuff, just resharpen them. I know technically I don't know if it's against the rules or not, but I don't even fuck. I was I need to, make the edge sharper. The lines in the middle. I don't even know all the terms and stuff, but I know you can get it cheap. You just go to Goodwill. You can get some really good stuff like Titleist. I'm trying to remember Caraway. I've seen a few brands there. Golf's great for business, man.
And the little girl was just such a bright, shining child. Her whole life, all she talked about was, I want to be a doctor. And she never wavered from kindergarten through grade school, through high school. So she went to Auburn. Her father ran a tire store here, and her mother worked for us in accounting. And at that time, Auburn didn't have a great scholarship program, but I tried to help her, and she got a small one. I guess I became distracted. I don't know. But her father died, passed away, and before I really knew it, she had dropped out of college because she couldn't afford it. Well, that just broke my heart. It devastated me. And
I want you guys, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. You can tell the difference between someone's bullshitting and when this guy's a genuine good person. Look how he's breaking up in his voice, or listen to how he's breaking up in the voice. Look how he's having a hard time. Look at the camera. He's being genuine here. And I want people to understand that not all billionaires, not every single person out there is a bad person. There's a lot of great people out there. And like when people do good things like this, they need to be recognized. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how successful you are and how famous you are. And you get recognized when you do good things. And sir, I tip my hat off to you because, I mean, you can tell when people are being genuine.
I said, this is not right. It's not right. We got to do something. I don't know what, but we're going to do something. So we decided right then and there that we were going to start this foundation, and we were going to make sure it was the best we could. That wasn't going to happen again.
Jimmy's been able to draw on the relationships that he made over so many years working with the college coaches to, bring in big names like Peyton Manning, whose dad was in a commercial with Jimmy, Herschel Walker, who was,
Peyton Manning's dad was the New Orleans quarterback. So yeah, he was New Orleans quarterback when the Saints were bad. Like, and he wasn't even that bad. People give him shit, but he wasn't even that bad of a quarterback. But yeah, he was the Saints quarterback. I'm thinking the 80s.
Big name, Georgia running back. So his ability to bring those big names is really a big draw for people who want to pay to play in the tournament. And as a result of that, the foundation's been able to fund more than 500 partial scholarships to date.
In the first year we raised money, we didn't have enough money to give a scholarship. The next year we gave one. And then the next year we gave two. And now we give over 50 a year, and we've given out over 560. And I said that first night, I hope I'm standing here and we give out 1,000. God willing, I will.
It's not as easy as just throwing a bunch of money at the issue. Like, there is, like, because he has his own businesses and things that he's tied up in. And again, when people are billionaires, it's not necessarily all in like cash or liquid. A lot of it's in like properties and investments, stocks. So it's a little hard always for him just to straight up write a check for $1 billion or $1 million and go, here you go. But what this guy is doing is great. I mean, you got to sit there and recognize for some of the people when they do good things. Now, yeah, obviously, like, you could still blame billionaires for what they do, because there's a lot of bad billionaires out there. But I think it's very important to recognize when some do good and some do bad. And this guy in this case is doing great things. He brought life back to his old town, and yeah, he may have had to buy up parts of the area, but sometimes that's just how it is. And if he's passionate about keeping it afloat, dude, mad respect to him. So it's super cool seeing videos like this. Forbes, I mean, you guys probably have all seen Forbes one time or another, but definitely drop them and give them a follow. Subscribe to them. I guess this came out 2 years ago. I had no idea. Really a great video. I wonder what it's happened to good old Jimmy now. I hope he's doing well. So, all right, guys. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys find this interesting. So, thank you.